Well, with that being said, I'm very proud to introduce my husband this evening and my partner in all of this. We're thankful he's still with us, that he can help me do this every month. Dennis?
I'm trying to do it without the microphone. Can everybody hear me without it? No? Okay. I'll use the microphone then. You know, my qualifications for doing this is I've had a heart attack and I've had heart bypass surgery. And let me just say up front, I've never gone through this without crying, so you be prepared. Just a little intro before we watch Dr. Esselstyn's video. Approximately 630,000 people, Americans, die of heart disease each year. Over 1 million each year have heart attacks. And the problem is increasing as we eat more and more fat and unhealthy diet. More people are going to be afflicted by the heart disease and the deaths and the suffering. So as Vicki said, why do we have these meetings? If we can help one person avoid going through what we did, it's all worth it. We do not accept any money. We appreciate everybody who bought the great food tonight. So basically, 3 years ago, I had a heart attack, bypass surgery, and a stent put in. But if you go back to 2000, I started having annual physicals. And I'd go in for my annual physical, and one thing that they would do as a part of that physical is they'd run blood tests. And one of the things that was extremely misleading to me was that they told me to keep your cholesterol below 200, and I did. I took a statin drug to do that. They also said keep your LDL or bad cholesterol below 100, and I did. And Vicki would say, she had turned vegan 3 years before I had my heart attack. And I would tell her, I don't need to change, I'm fine. But the truth is, 35% of the heart attacks that occur in this country occur with people who have a cholesterol level between 150 and 200. My point being, that people are being lied to, they're being misled. If you want to avoid a heart attack, you need to get your cholesterol, your total cholesterol, below 150, not 200. And you need to get your LDL or bad cholesterol below 80, not 100. So if you think you're fine, you very well may not be fine. And I'll talk a little bit more of that later when we get to the handouts. So, immediately, the day before I had my heart attack, I was out cutting down trees. I felt fine, clearing a fence row. And at 4:30 the next morning, is when my heart attack started. So immediately after having the heart attack and having surgery, I read Dr. Esselstyn's book, Prevent or Reverse Heart Disease. And this is the book that I read that turned my life around. If anybody would like to buy it, it's available on Amazon for like $12. You can get a used copy cheaper. You can find it perhaps at the library, I don't know. But it's very worthwhile. A part of your handout, which I'll get to in a second, is a one-page summary or synopsis, if you will, of what Dr. Esselstyn teaches you with regard to what you should eat and what you should not eat. Well, let's go ahead and move on to that right now. So on the first page, you see Dr. Esselstyn's Heart Disease Prevention and Reversal. No oil. There's no such thing as good oil. All oil is bad for you, including olive oil. The reason why it's bad for you is it damages your endothelium. Your endothelium is the innermost part of the arteries. So that's why and also it's a vasoconstrictor. And that's, obviously you want your blood vessels, your arteries to be expanded. So he advocates the eating of dark green leafy vegetables and beets. And the reason why he advocates that is that's a vasodilator. You want your arteries to be flexible and dilated to their maximum extent. Obviously, the greater they're dilated, the more blood you can flow through there. So what does he advocate eating? And he'll get to that in the video. But basically, starches such as potatoes, the beans, those kinds of things. And he advocates chewing the food. And his basis for doing that is that the nitrites that you get from eating and chewing get into the saliva and begin the digestive process. And also that recycles through your body. And the nitric oxide is what is the vasodilator. It culminates in the, that's what helps you a great deal. Plus, it helps protect the endothelium, which, as I say, is the innermost lining. That's your life jacket, if you will, that protects you from heart disease. Let me, on the second page of your handout, I've highlighted a couple of things that I want to make sure everybody is aware of. It's vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is made by bacteria in the soil. It's not available through any other source. You can get some things by eating meat. Obviously, we don't eat meat. We don't eat anything that comes from an animal of any kind. And that's why you need your vitamin B12 supplement. He recommends 1,000 micrograms per day. And most of the time, you get B12 available in either 2,500 or 5,000 units. So depending on whatever strength you pick, every 2 to 5 days you should get your vitamin B12. And the second thing that I want to highlight there in yellow is 1 or 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed. That's where you get your omega-3s from. Those omega-3s are very important. They are an anti-inflammatory effect. So you want to, the way I do get my flax seeds, ground flax seeds, not whole flax seeds. The whole flax seeds, the shell is so hard, it'll pass right through you and you don't realize the benefits of it. But the ground flax seeds is where you'll get your omega-3. Very, very important that you get that. I put it on oatmeal each morning. I eat oatmeal. I put some cinnamon on there, and I also put lots of berries in there. So I don't eat sugar ever. I avoid sugar, oil, and salt. So if I want something sweet, I'll use berries or I'll eat a piece of fruit. I drink water. Occasionally I'll drink tea, or herbal tea, but I do not drink any coffee other than decaffeinated coffee. And that's in consonance with what he advocates. The second thing I want to talk to you a little bit about is moderation kills. And that's what I was talking about at the start. And if you go to page 3 of your handout, you'll see I've highlighted in yellow there. We now know that 35% of heart attacks occur in people with total cholesterol levels between 150 and 200. A target level of only 200 guarantees that millions of U.S. citizens will die from coronary artery disease. And that's, if you don't remember anything else that I've said, please remember that. Okay? With that, I want one more thing I want to talk to you about, and that's on the last page of your handout, the 4th page. Granted, tonight is exclusively about heart disease, but there is a 2016 video that I highly recommend you watch, and that's on nutritionfacts.org. There's no advertisement. Dr. Michael Greger is in charge of that website, and he talks about how not to die, the role of diet in preventing reversing our top 15 killers. So he starts out with our #1 killer, heart disease, and then he goes down to the next 14 thereafter. So if you're concerned about diabetes, that's an excellent starting point for learning about what can I do about diabetes. It goes down through all of them. Cancer being number 2. A whole foods plant-based diet can help. All human blood has some ability to fight cancer. Vegan blood and whole food plant-based blood has even greater ability to fight cancer. So if you're concerned about cancer, I'd strongly recommend that you take a look at that as well. But what Dr. Greger does each month, he looks at all the studies that are published in English language. And he goes through those, and then he puts up, no charge whatsoever, his review and summary of those findings. So that's why I strongly recommend the use of that site. He puts up videos, And he's extremely informative and very useful information. So that's all I have to say for the moment. Why don't we go ahead and watch Dr. Esselstyn? Yes, ma'am.
What did you say the flax seeds are for?
Omega-3s. Some people think they have to eat fish to get omega-3s.
But it's rolled, you said it's anti-inflammatory?
Yeah, it has that's one of its impacts of omega-3s, that they're anti-inflammatory. And many of the chronic diseases that we have are based on inflammation, whether it's things like arthritis, heart disease. You don't want that inflammation in your arteries because and he'll explain that in a second. Most heart attacks don't happen as a result of a slow progress of building up plaque. 90% of heart attacks, 10% of heart attacks occur with slow progress of build up of plaque. 90% of heart attacks have what happened to me is you have some plaque, brand new plaque, and a cap forms over it, and the cap bursts, and he'll explain that. And when that cap bursts, you get an immediate blockage, which creates a heart attack, or in some cases, if it gets to the brain, then you're going to have a stroke. So that's why it's extremely important to follow this diet, and you'll lose weight. We've got some, 1 pound, what 1 pound of fat looks like. I've lost 33 of those. Vicky's lost 70 of those.
I can show you what 200 looks like.
What we'll do, we'll watch the video. He'll explain it much better than I can, and then we'll go ahead and have questions and answers.
What is your cholesterol now?
Well, the lowest that I've gotten it down to with no medication. I no longer take any meds whatsoever. Now, you don't want to do that without talking to your doctor. You want to do this based on discussing. I explained to him, okay, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to get to. My cholesterol was 117, total cholesterol 117, and the LDL or bad cholesterol is 49. So I'm heart attack proof, and he'll explain that better in the video, better than I can. But yes, 117 over 49 is the best that I've done with no meds.
Mary knows that we'll tell you what we're going to do, right?
And exercise.
And exercise.
And exercise is very important. People cover that. And Mary helped me after I had my heart bypass surgery. She's in charge of the cardiac rehab at the Wellness Center. And Mary and her excellent ladies really helped me a lot. So I want to thank you, Mary, for coming, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, we do appreciate it. Yeah. And we